Hello, Thursday, time for some more chocolate. I realized that I was doing a lot of American and European chocolate makers, so I've been trying to kind of go outside of that scope. That's where a lot of the older makers are in the United States and in Europe. So I'm going to feature someone's a little bit new. Last time I did Louisa Abrams. This time I'm going to do somebody from Australia, and that is Atypic Chocolate. Relatively new company. They opened in 2017 in Melbourne, Australia. Founded by Charles Lemai, born in Lille, France. He grew up in a family that was in the food industry. He has family members that are chefs. He had his first chef's apprenticeship when he was age 14. He is a French-trained pastry chef. He's been a pastry chef since the late 90s, so like 20 plus years. He has a lot of experience, and I'm not sure if he's still currently, but I read that he was also a pastry teacher at the Le Cordon Bleu in Australia. So he's got the pastry experience down. And as you know, I love it when pastry chefs turn chocolate makers because I think they have their palate very well developed that they can pick out flavors. So he went to Australia, as many people do, for a year of travel. I didn't. I went to Australia after college to travel around and hang out on the beaches for a year. He was there for a year and he decided to stay. But he got to a point where, and I'll quote him, he said, "I wasn't in love with patisserie like I used to be, and I had done what I needed to do." So he was looking for something different. And he was inspired when in 2016, he went to Vietnam to visit Maru Chocolate. He went to their factory, learned all about chocolate making because he had been a chef, pastry chef for so long and worked with chocolate and knew chocolate, but really didn't know how to make chocolate. And so he went to Maru, he went to Vietnam, visited their factory, he visited farms, he visited plantations, and realized this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a bean-to-bar chocolate maker. This was the new adventure for him. So he partnered with Yu Chi, and they opened a tiny 42 square meter space in the South Melbourne market to have a small batch bean-to-bar chocolate shop. And because of his pastry experience, you can't just forget about that. He also sells some really good patisserie there. So I have 2 bars of theirs. They typically source their beans from the Pacific area, so Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, but they also get beans from Haiti and Brazil and of course Madagascar. Can you call yourself a bean-to-bar chocolate maker if you don't use Madagascar beans? I don't know. Is there a rule? So I have 2 bars of his. One is the Heart of the Pacific 50% milk chocolate, and the other one is a Heart of Pacific dark with nibs. And I think this is the one that I'm going to open, the 88% dark. The Heart of the Pacific is just a blend of beans from the Pacific area. So let's flip it around, we'll take a look at the package and taste the chocolate. Okay, we have Atypic Chocolate. So I like their package. It's kind of like invokes the islands of the Pacific on it. They have some really pretty packaging. Atypic the name comes from a French word that means atypical, that this kind of embraces Charles's striving to do the unconventional and always looking to be creative. He still lists himself as a chocolatier. There's a lot of people that get upset when you use chocolatier and chocolate maker interchangeably. When you're making your own chocolate, I would call you a chocolate maker, but he qualifies as both with his pastry experience. So we have, this is an inclusion bar. It has cacao nibs, 88% dark chocolate, Heart of the Pacific. It's a blend. It's not a single origin. They do have single origin bars, but this one is a blend of beans from around the Pacific. Made in Melbourne. Let's see. Oh, cool. Island hopping in the South Pacific. Fun. Okay, so let's see what it says back here. They don't have organic certification, but they work directly with farmers who do organic farm. They don't use the certification because it saves them, the farmers, money. They are sustainable, ethical beans that they work with. They visit the farms. You can see on his list of ingredients. So he uses, first ingredient is cacao beans, organic cane sugar, cacao butter, and sunflower lecithin. This is an emulsifier. Maybe my unpopular opinion right now, but I believe that if it makes something taste better, throw it in there. So I'm not a stickler for 2 ingredient bars or 3 ingredient bars. If you add more cocoa butter and that makes a better bar, or if you add lecithin and it makes a better bar, then I don't have a problem with it. Okay, what else we got on here? Made in Australia. Right, and handwritten best before date. Cute. Okay, let's see. Let's open this one up and try the chocolate from the Pacific. It's not very often that you see chocolate from the Solomon Islands, so I'm sure that is part of the blend here. Interesting packaging. Oh, a map of Melbourne on the back. Cool. All right. Oh, it's a nice looking bar. It has a nice shine to it. Can you see that? Nice shine. It's the balloon motif on there. You can break it into nice squares to share. And Atypic. All right, let's give a listen to the snap. You know, it's a soft snap, but he does have added cocoa butter. But boy, oh, I wish you guys could smell this. Deep, rich cocoa flavor. Roasted cocoa. It might be, he might be a French maker who really likes to roast, like the French sometimes like a darker roast on their chocolate. So you're not hearing the crunch that you get in some of the bars, the 2 ingredient bars, because he has added cocoa butter, and that's going to take away from the snap, but it's going to add to my mouthfeel experience when I'm eating this chocolate. So I'm just going to take a piece and warm it up a little bit with my thumb. Cocoa butter is close, its melting temperature is close to body temperature, so when I do this, it will release the aromas. Okay, so I don't get a lot of complexity in this bar. Just a really deep, fudgy cocoa flavor. When I taste it, it's seems like it has a dark roast. It's a little bit bitter. There's just a strong cocoa note throughout, and then you get the nibs, and I like nibs as an inclusion. This one, for my palate, is a little bit darker than I like, although it's not like unedible. I've had worse, lots of worse. This one it's a good dark, but it's not complex. The reason why I bought these bars is because I had sampled this one at a tasting that I was helping with, and I really liked this one. So I'm going to open this one up too. This is the 50% dark milk bar. This one is also made with a blend. But let's take a look at the color difference between the two. I don't know how, oh yeah, it is coming across. So can you see the difference between the colors of the 2 bars? You've got the 88% dark on one side and the 50% milk on the other side, and you get the typical rosy kind of light brown blush with the milk. This is the one that I liked, and the reason why I bought these bars. So this one, yeah, you get the caramelized sugar. So for me, This one is more complex than the dark bar. I get caramelized sugar, possibly like a creme fraiche, a fudgy chocolate, maybe even a little bit of brown fruit at the end. So I'm a fan of this bar more than I am of the dark blend. I think they're a new chocolate maker, and so some of the issues that I have with this bar, it's a little bit grainy to me. I think they'll figure that out with experience. So I quite like this milk bar, the Heart of the Pacific, 50% milk. It's the reason why I bought from this maker. And let's flip the camera around and finish up. Okay, so those are the two bars that we opened from Atypic out of Melbourne, Australia. Charles Lemai is the chocolate maker there. If you happen to be in Melbourne and can wander by their store, they're also famous for another treat that he makes there called the Merveilleux. That's me mispronouncing French once again. The word means wonderful. It's a sweet treat from northern France where you have two meringues. It's kind of like a whipped cream sandwich with two meringues and whipped cream in the middle and chocolate shavings, and it's another thing that his shop is famous for. So it's a little harder to get his chocolate, not a hugely wide distribution. I know there are a few places in the United States you can get it. I don't know about Europe. So that is Atypic Chocolate out of Melbourne, Australia. Next week, we'll have another chocolate maker. If you enjoy learning about the chocolate makers and hearing the stories behind them, then be sure to like this video and subscribe to Opening Chocolate. Thanks. We'll see you next time.